Okay, I'm going to move my control panel hopefully here. There we go. Okay. Now, in this session of our digitizing, this is Basic Digitizing 101, and I'm going to introduce you to some basics in digitizing, such as how to do some of the manual digitizing, and how to do a little bit of editing also, again, when you create your designs, how to add the EV stitch manually that we talked about in the last session, but we're going to do it all manually this time.
Okay. Now, one thing I don't have on my software is the Easy Stitch.
Okay. Now, when you get your upgrade to 8.0, you will have your Easy Stitch.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
all right.
But, okay, let's see. We're going to take our image, and we're going to input some file. And we're going to work with our teddy bear again.
Okay.
I just love his heart. Okay, and we're going to resize. I think an 11 by 7 is what fit him. More 7 by 11. That's what fit him perfectly. There we go. Okay. Again, because we're back to our original settings, which is our sewing attribute. My zigzag, I want it to be down to at least a 0.04. Add my undersew. My running stitch path, I always choose to follow the outline. My run pitch, I'll leave it there. Unless I'm doing a terry cloth or a fleece, then I'll take it down to 0.13. And I'm going to add a little pull compensation. We're going to click Apply and Close. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to zoom in to our bear. Let's start at his feet.
Okay.
And what I always want everyone to remember is that if you plan out your digitizing before you start, it makes it a lot easier. So because I've done my bear, I know that I'm going to start at his feet first, and I can work my way up to one paw and create the other one, and then just as easily jump from here to here and then complete his face. And the reason I can do that is because when I digitize my heart, it's going to cover up a lot of those jump stitches in between.
Okay.
Okay? So we're going to start here. And our manual digitizing, which makes it a lot of fun, is we're going to go here to our outline tool. We're going to click our outline and click the straight line. And again, it opens up our closed path, our zigzag, and our fill stitch. So if you want this to be a zigzag, you would leave it as is. But since we're going to play around a little bit with some textures, we're going to change this to a run stitch. Now we'll go back to our sewing and sewing attribute settings, and we know that our run stitch is going to run one time. We're okay with that for the simple purpose of our run stitch is going to be a one underlay. So we're going to close. Actually, no, I'm sorry. We're going to change it to a EV stitch. Go to our sewing attribute, and we're going to do an outside E-stitch, and the run time is still 1. We're going to click Apply and Close. Now here we're going to select our fill, which of course is my khaki color for my bear. Click OK, and my computer is running better.
Good.
And we're going to start. And what we do is
faster.
Yes. We're going to start here, and we're going to left click, and we're just going to trace by clicking the outline of our bear's foot. And what you're going to realize is how easy it is to manually input your stitches, and it actually goes by fast with practice. If you don't get it exactly right, don't worry about it. This is our first time doing it. So that's 1. And always with a closed path, remember, before you get to your start point, leave a small gap and double click. And there we have our bear.
Wow.
If we do a realistic preview, we have our fur with our little extensions here. Now, another way we can do that, let's go back. we can actually remove our EV stitch, and we're going to do just our outline. Well, just the fill of the bear. And the reason I'm showing you this is because if you notice, when I did it, the little spikes went inside of the heart.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, I did.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here, and I'm going to fill in my bear's foot again. I'm going to stretch out a little bit. Now we have just the foot. I can close this, open my outline, choose an open path here, and now if I go here and just outline it, I can decide where exactly the E stitch is going to fall.
Okay.
So I now have control over where my pattern is versus adding my outline and my stitch in together. So now I just have my E stitch here. Now, we're going to look at this, and that E stitch looks really thin. It may not be lined up perfectly with my bear, but that's going to be okay for what we're doing. Because now I'm going to add a zigzag stitch, and I'm going to go right back on top of that E stitch. And you'll see what happens. So believe it or not, you can have 2 layers of outline and still have a perfect design.
Oh, okay.
Now I've just outlined it, and we're going to look at it. And you can't see where my E stitch is because it's covered by a zigzag.
Okay. I like that.
And if I want, I can go to my sewing order, and I can actually change that to a brown color. Here's my brown. I think I have my light brown, but it's a little bit darker than my khaki. I'll click Realistic Preview, and it shows a contrast.
Yeah, okay.
Now, we've completed one foot. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do this other foot here. Now, we can actually use the same thread, but we're going to change the direction by going to our sewing attribute. Oh, it didn't do it. Let's open that up. Okay. Now we go to our sewing attribute. Now we have the option of changing the direction of just this foot. So we'll do a 145-degree angle on this. Click Apply and Close. We're going to close our outline here, and now we're going to outline the other foot. Oh, we're going to change this to a closed path because with a closed path, that's the only way you can do a fill stitch. So now, with a slight overlay of your original embroidery, I'm going to slightly overlay it here and create the other foot. And once you get the hang of clicking or using a pad to create your designs, it's really easy. A digitizing tablet actually works. They're a little bit more time consuming to get used to using, but I mean, some digitizers love them. I'm a mouse person. So,
yeah.
we've just digitized, we've digitized our foot. There is a slight overlay here, but if we look at it here, this goes one direction and this goes another direction, which will make your 2 bare feet look different. So, again, to add my E stitch here, I close my fill, open. I'll go here, again, to my straight line, choose an open path, select my color, which is going to be light brown, click OK. And now I've got to make sure that I have an E stitch here. Make sure I'm still set at my E stitch for my outside. Click Close. And we start digitizing. Now we're simply inputting our E stitch along the outline. And this is a very easy process. It doesn't take very long. And your bear will love you for it. Up a little bit. And double click. And there's our E stitch. Now I ended my E stitch here, so when I change to my zigzag, I can start here and come back down. And always note that you have full control over your software. It will do whatever you want it to.
Okay.
And because I'm doing an outline here, I'm going to bring this outline all the way up to close off his feet. Now, we're going to do a realistic preview, and there are his 2 feet. Now, we still have our thank you. We have our detail work here, which is really easy. You just use your same zigzag stitch and input your detail. And realistic preview, you have now completed the feet of your bear.
Wow.
So
it's not as hard as it looks.
No, it's not as hard as it looks. And the more you do it, the faster you actually get. So we're going to come to our sewing order, and I notice here that I have 1 foot here, 1 foot here. Well, I want these 2 to group because I don't want to have to jump colors. So I'll just slide this foot here, and it groups them together. Now I have the flexibility, again, to change my outline again. Click OK. And a realistic preview again. And we have 2 feet.
Okay.
And let's zoom down. And there are his feet. And to make sure that you have everything covered correctly, you always want to do a stitch simulator and watch your work. And it'll tell you if you need to critique anything, change the order of how it's stitching or something like that.
Okay.
And if everything stitches out fine here, you know it'll stitch out fine when you send it to your machine. So, and of course here you can speed it up. Or you can slow it way down. So let's click stop and clear. Now, we stopped here with our brown.
Right.
And I know that I can go here and keep this one at a 145-degree angle and go here and actually keep this one at a 45-degree angle because they're not next to each other. And the light reflections will be the same. However, when I get to his head, I want his ears to stand out differently from his head. So, when we digitize his face, let's zoom in, and we're going to cover something that I love, which is our sew hole. Here, we can go ahead and digitize his face by changing to a closed path. We're going to close our outline, open our fill stitch, and choose an area on his face to start digitizing. Now, the good thing about this is here you can actually include 1 ear.
Okay.
Because 1 ear is going to go in the same direction as his face, or you can have 2 different directions for his face. For his ears. If you do that, you know that you will have an extra jump stitch in your design. So for our class purpose, we are going to have 1 ear in the same direction as his face. And we're going to outline his nose. And the reason I'm not staying on top of the lines because there needs to be a small overlap. I think I started right here. Okay. So I know that all of this is at a 145-degree angle. So go up to my sewing attribute, and I want to go back to 45, so I click my default button. Click apply and close. Now I'm ready to digitize his ear.
Now you're using a running stitch when you're going around like that?
No, this is actually the fill stitch. This is how the sew stitch looks when you're doing your design.
Okay.
And we're going to slightly overlap it just a little bit to remove any chances of gapping and separating. And we double click. What we're doing is right now there is no outline at all. See, there's no zigzag.
Okay.
So we're just working in a fill only. And if I zoom out to my 1 by 1, I can see through my realistic preview that this ear is going to look a little bit different than this one, just by the direction of it.
All right. Okay.
Now, we're going to go back to our preview, and we're going to zoom in at face. And here we have those big black eyes. So we're going to choose our circle. Our fill for eyes should be a satin fill.
Okay.
And change it to black. Click OK. Now, this is where you have the option to add an outline or not to add an outline. There is no law to it. It's a personal preference. For my particular bear, we're not going to do an outline right now. So I'm just going to create a circle by simply dragging it down and holding my left mouse and let go. There is my circle. Now, we're going to click inside his eye and slide him over a little bit. Now, in our lettering, I taught how to duplicate instead of redoing. So we're going to right-click, select duplicate, and we get our second eye without having to do it again. And we know that they're going to be the exact same size because they're duplicates. Now, we do our control. Go here, select your cursor, highlight that area, hold down your control button, click inside of the bear, go up to your sew, set sew hole. It should tell you sew hole was completed. If you get the sign that says sew hole invalid, that means it has not been completed. We click OK. And if you can see the difference now, there's brown under this one, and the brown was removed.
I see.
So we go here. We click on, we click on this eye, hold down our control, click just outside of our 8 points here, go to sew, set sew hole, click OK. Now, we've just set the 2 holes, but there's also this little white part. If you wish to add that white part, there's an easy way to do it. Change your color to white. Make your circle. Again, we're going to line it up evenly. Right-click, select duplicate. Slide your new little circle here. Now, a great rule of thumb is you can actually embroider over other embroidery at least one other time before it becomes armor plated. So, because these eyes are so small, we actually don't have to do a sew hole. It is a personal preference for me that I don't do it. But if you wish to, you could actually do a sew hole for his eyes. Now, when we do a preview, we know that we now have 2 eyes and his face.
That is easy. I always wondered how you got I would use the manual punch to do the eyes, and sometimes it would come out right and sometimes it wouldn't.
I use the circles because you can choose what size you want them or which angle and it works great. And like I said, when you use the duplicate tool, you know you're going to get the same size.
Okay.
So now we're going to go in and we're going to detail his face. So we know here that he has a couple of lines here and all of this outline. Actually, I'm sorry, we forgot to do this section. So let's select our straight line, our outline here. And we're going to make sure to change it back to a sew stitch because this is too large of an area for a satin. And we're going to go with, he's khaki colored. Let's go with beige. Click OK. And now, zoom in a little bit more so that we can make sure that we're getting right inside of this line. And we're going to digitize this part of his mouth. And I already know that my setting is set for, and actually go up. Forgot to tell you, to remove a stitch, simply right-click your mouse, and that will remove the last stitch that you put in place. So if you make a mistake, don't feel like you have to start over. Just right-click, and it will remove your stitches.
Okay.
Now, here, I know my setting is at 45-degree angle, so his mouth is going to be angled differently from the rest of his face, which is going to make a beautiful contrast. And there's his. Now, I get to do that wonderful whole sew again. But I can select a satin, choose my red, click OK. Now, because this is not a perfect circle, I'm going to go in and make my circle.
Okay.
Now, this is another way to do a whole sew. Because once you complete your circle, you will use the same technique that you used when we did our eyes. Click on your select object, click on the nose, hold down your control button, click into your area just outside of your 8 points here, let go of your control button, go to sew, set sew hole, click OK. Now, when I zoom back out, I can look and see if his nose looks proportioned. Now, it looks like his nose is going to be a little bit big or a little bit wide for satin. So I'll click here. I forgot he was a big bear. And click OK. That looks better.
Okay.
Now we're going to zoom in. And now we're going to add our detail. Here we go. Back to our line, click on Open Path, click here. Now we're going to change this to black because I think we did black for his feet. Here is when you have the option to add the E-stitch to his nose, or you can leave it plain by simply doing your outline. Now with your outline, make sure you fall on top of the last color that you put on your bear. And that comes with the planning of your bear. Because I know that I did the muzzle first before I did his nose, so I've got to outline along the red to cover up any gaps or anything that may happen. So that's what careful planning, and actually if you create a printout sheet of your design, you can actually put all your notes there. And now I know here that my lighter color is the color that I need to cover. So again, I will outline right along here. And come down a little bit. Let's see. Wondering where did I stop? Okay. Let's go here. There we go. We're going to take a look at our bear. And so far, this is what we have. He has now gotten a nose and a little detail to his face.
Okay.
And it's really easy. It's the same for the rest of his body. So we're going to, I want to see if I can do the applique on this one.
Okay.
But I want to separate his ear and see if it works. Let's see. And believe it or not, even though I'm outlining him in a certain direction, your computer and your machine will decide which way to stitch it out.
Okay.
Your outline, believe it or not, doesn't have as many jump stitches as your fill stitch. The software decides what's the best way to stitch out your outline. And that's one of the advantages to digitizing this way versus auto-digitizing. Is this, the software decides which outline or which way it's going to stitch based on how it's digitized. When you do it this way, you can digitize it in any order, and then the machine will decide what's the best way. So let's go here, and there's his ear. And because we've added that detail, it actually looks different now than it does here. So there is a contrast between the two. Okay. Now let's see. And then, now we have our, if you notice, we have a jump stitch from here all the way to here.
Yeah.
When we digitize our heart, which we're going to do now, it will actually cover this stitch here and this long stitch here, which would eliminate some of my trimming.
Okay.
So let's go back to our closed path. I'm going to close that. And we're going to outline our heart. This may not be a really good outline because I didn't zoom in good. Let's see if I can get our applique wizard to work. See, almost done here. And if you ever let your two knobs overlap, you'll know because your design will not close up.
Okay.
So let's select our heart. Let's see. There's our applique wizard ready to go. My applique wizard will tell me that this is the stitch it's going to do. It's going to do a V-stitch. It's going to do a satin stitch. And here, I can control the width of that satin stitch. Click OK. And now I've just created an applique bear. Let me zoom out a little. Now when this bear stitches out, he'll have his head, his ears, his little paws here if we finish them, and applique fabric. And this is how it would stitch out. Right now it's telling me, wait, if I look here, it's telling me that I have 11 colors. Well, for your applique, sad to say, you need to go in and change one of those colors. So you can change it to a basic hot pink color. Because for some reason, it's the same color? Oh, I guess that was the pink. Let's do salmon. Click OK. For some reason, the last two colors are always the same. So I know here that I have my first applique bear, his feet, his outline. I can add his head to his feet. Somewhere in here is the ear. There it is. So that's the bear. There's his outline. There are his white eyes. There's his muzzle.
Okay.
There's his nose. Here is a little bit more of the outline, which is black. So I can take this black and move it down here. So now I'm down from 11 colors to 9 colors. And it's with it being an applique. Click OK. And my stitch count for my bear is 27,791. That's because this bear, if I recall, is a, let's see what size, he's a big design. Yeah, he's a 7 by 11, which for most home machines is too big. But if he were smaller, a normal 5 by 7, his stitch count would be half of the 27,000.
Okay.
And we have here a bear and his applique and his outline. Okay. Now, let's see here. We're going to practice our Soho, which is something that a lot of people have trouble with, and click OK. We're going to add an outline, and let's go to a normal size frame. Now, when we're doing our Soho, we have our square, and we want to add a circle. So we're going to make our circle a little different. Let's do a white, click OK, with no outline. We're going to create our circle. Click our select object, highlight your circle with the 8 points around it. Hold down your control button, click outside of the 8 points into the red, let go of your control, click sew, set sew hole, and it says set sew hole was complete. Click OK. Now, when I look at this design, I now see a square with a circle. When it stitches out, let's speed this up. It's going to stitch my red with a complete circle in the middle.
And then it'll
now,
the white. Okay.
Say that again? Okay. Now, say for instance, I didn't want that to be filled. I just wanted a hole.
Right.
I can select object, and I'll get my 8 points around it. I can remove my color by selecting here. Oh, sorry, cancel. By closing my icon here, clicking OK, and there's my hole.
So that you could use for like a frame, picture frame.
Correct. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
And now that I have my circle here, I can actually go in and add text. Design, click OK. Select object again to get control of your design or your lettering. Add it on top. And there you've created a design.
Very good.
Okay. Select no.
I was wondering
Now,
what those little holes were for on the side, those little boxes.
which these?
Those two, yeah. Oh, yeah, I didn't know what they were for. I never used them.
Oh, now we can use them.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's go at a 20-degree angle. We're going to change our fill to a pink. And here it's going to curve a little bit more. So we have our pink here. And what we're going to do is we're going to do multiple sew holes, which is basically the same thing. Get rid of our circle, change our color, click OK. And again, you make it one circle. If you want, you can leave the one circle, and you can do select object, right-click, and duplicate. And here, you can just keep duplicating and create a little design. And now, we have a little Band-Aid.
Oh, cute.
Now, the great thing about duplicating is that the software automatically puts your duplicates in the order that it wants it to sew out.
Okay.
So each one goes in order. So we're going to close this. Now, we've always seen those beautiful frames with the dots and the squares and all of that fun stuff.
Right.
Okay, I'm going to show you how to do that by using the tools we've learned today. So we're going to take our wonderful triangle, and we're going to use just an outline, but we're going to make it fun colors. Let's do a mint green. Now, when I do this, I'm just going to get my zigzag, and I can overlay my zigzags however I want them. Let's undo. Let's go to my circle. Same with my circle. If I want a hollowed out circle, I'll use just a zigzag. I can add a fill by opening up my fill selection, my region sew, and adding a fill to it. So knowing that we have the option here to have a fill and no fill, we're going to create an embroidery frame. So we're going to remove our outline and do just a fill stitch first. And you can set your, not doing circles. There we go. We're going to start with small circles. And we click and we duplicate. And this can be a homework project to make a frame.
Okay.
And you continue to duplicate your small circle as many times as you want. And you can place them in any order that you want. But leave space because you're going to add some larger circles. Let's see, okay. So I figure that's almost enough. Maybe one more. Let's see, I have that one there. Let's duplicate and move that one there. Okay. So I know that I have these circles, so let's change our color to a lilac. And let's see, we can actually change the sew type to satin. At this point, if we want, we can add an outline. And we go back to our circle, and we create even larger ones that we maneuver. We duplicate, and this is how, believe it or not, the people create all of those beautiful frames that we buy.
Okay, because I know I see them and I figure out, God, they must be really something to be able to do that.
No, they're really not that hard. Now, we have two different types of circles, but I've just created a problem because when I open my sewing order, I have 17 colors.
Yeah.
So I want to group them. So let's take my purple, slide them down, and you slide them in the order that you want them. And if you notice, I'm going from 17 to 3. Click OK.
Oh.
So now when I look here, I don't have 17 color changes. I only have 3.
Very good.
Now I can,
Very good.
Now I can look here and go, it still needs more dots over here. So I can close it. And what color would you like to add?
How about green with pink?
Okay, let's do green with pink. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make little itty bitty circles. And do your select object, and then we duplicate. And then you just squeeze them wherever you want them. And there actually is no science to this. It's just doing it until you get the pattern that you want.
Okay.
You can continue to add them, or you can take them away. You can continue to move them around. It's just a really easy way to create something that's all yours.
And you can delete if you've got too many, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the easy part.
Yeah.
Let's see. Do you have any on this side yet? Nope. I'll throw some over here. Now, if you notice, I'm not actually on the chart here.
Yeah.
But the good thing is I have the ability to move stuff around. Let's see here. Duplicate. A little bit, and maybe one more. So let's see, move this guy up a little bit, move this guy up. Now, let's see, what do we have? Again, my sewing order. Look at how many colors I have now.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It is
So
giving me 36 colors. Huh?
You're going to move your pink down.
Mm-hmm.
No, your green.
And we're just going to start sliding.
Mm-hmm.
There's one. And if you notice, if I move one, the other one automatically moves.
Right. Okay.
So I am going from 36 colors.
Down to 5.
But, right. I should only have 5 color changes when I'm done. And if I thought I could get away with it, click OK. I would then try to go in, look at our graph, and group all of the green together if it would stitch out right. If it doesn't, then it's okay. But here is just a basic frame, and then you can put your monogram in.
What I noticed is the pink, the outline should have went behind the green on the little circle.
You can change that by simply going to
Because
Sew
your
in Order
outline is sewing. Yeah.
and click here, and it automatically groups all your green.
Okay.
So now you went down from 5 colors to 4.
Oh, wow. That's right, too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So we click Cancel, and we look at it now, and there it is.
Very good.
This is just a really quick frame. Oh, it's not. That's just quick. Now, you now have the ability to add your monogram. Do a capital A. Click OK. Drag our letter A inside of our box. Now, the secret with this is you can resize it here, but you don't get the option of preview. Or you can resize it here, do numerical setting and size.
Okay.
And you can preview your size before you OK it. And you can continue to just increase until you reach your desired size.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's just easier to resize that way.
Right. Okay.
Let's take it down to 1.60. 1.40. It's a little bit better. That's still going to overlap some, so. And you can have the option of changing the color. Click OK. And you've created a monogrammed frame.
Very pretty.
All within your software.
That is really pretty.
Now, the good thing is, it works the same for your squares.
Mm-hmm.
You can create little squares. You can create a hollow square. Or you can create just a square with a fill. And you can change it from fill to satin. Even on these, you can do a programmable fill.
Okay.
Well, my computer was doing good for a while. I think there are hearts on here. Well, that's a pretty one. That one's pretty. Now, here I know it's 0.30 to 0.30, but I want to do 0.20. 0.20. Click Apply. It didn't take my numbers. 0.220. Click Apply and OK. Now when I do this one, it's going to give me my textures.
Oh, pretty.
So even though you're still doing your squares, you have the ability to add texture to your frame.
Okay.
And all of your stitches will work within your outline here. Now, again, with our manual tool, let's input another image. I'm going to show you how to quickly edit, there we go, and create a personalized design. There's my beach bunny. Even though you auto-digitize.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay, it was doing so well. We're going to downsize our bunny. There we go. Now, we're going to auto-digitize our bunny. Now, did you see what just happened? Look at my bunny here versus my bunny here. We're going to click Finished. Now, we've just auto-digitized my bunny, and he doesn't quite look right, right?
Right.
So this is where we start editing, where you can actually go into auto-digitize design, showing order, and if you want, you can delete the outline by clicking here and selecting the color or the color that you want to delete. Highlight this area, click Cancel, and then Delete. Now, with my outline gone partially around here, I know that if I look at him now, there's a partial outline that I have to do with here. And if you notice, when I auto-digitize, it left gaps in here.
Right.
Well, I can now go here to my outline, do a straight line, close off my programmable fill, open up my zigzag, change it to my desired outline color. I can zoom in, and now I can manually go in here and input my outline. And fix any mistakes or any errors that may have been done during the auto-digitizing.
Okay.
So just because you auto-digitize doesn't mean that you're stuck with your finished product.
Okay.
You can actually go in and edit and critique it as much as you need. So I know that I wasn't happy with the outline, and when my product stitched out, it was going to reflect exactly what I saw.
Okay.
So now, when I look at my bunny, I know that I'm working on fixing the surfboard.
Oh, okay.
And for his eyes, there are no eyes there. I can zoom in. I can select my circles, do my satin, change it to black, choose the outline if I want one or not, and then I can actually make my eyes. And you always want to make your eyes a little bit bigger than the hole that's being provided. Duplicate it. Add my other circle here. Now I can look at his eyes, and he has eyes.
All right.
So I know that, I've auto-digitized. I'm not happy, so let me start critiquing. And that's another way to create still yet a perfect design.
Right.
So, well, do you have any questions? I'm happy to answer.
I had tried to go into my sewing order and delete something out like you do, but it won't do it.
Okay.
I don't know if it's the version 5, like if I wanted to delete that outline. I selected
you should be able to.
and I hit cancel, and it just cancels the whole sew order.
Let's see. We're going to do our magic wand. We're going to auto punch. Oof, you really got me deleted on this one. Okay. Now, there are two ways to do your outline. You can remove it here. Or if you get here,
right.
Let's do okay. That's
Yeah.
okay. He needs some mark.
Okay. So now you would go into your sewing order.
Order.
Uh huh.
Correct. Make sure he's highlighted with his 8 points around him. here.
Okay.
Do sewing order, and here's part of his outline.
Right.
So I'm going to do select that, and all I did was hit select.
Right.
And click cancel.
And see,
and click delete.
I don't get those like +5 on my boxes underneath.
Hold on.
You know how underneath your boxes
Here?
you have like a +4, +5, +6.
Right.
Get those.
You don't get this?
On my software.
Okay. Yeah, this one, and I know that 8 has it.
Yeah.
And 8 actually has the flexibility to have more than one screen open at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So if you're working on one project,
that when I was doing it, and I didn't have any of those numbers underneath my boxes, just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There was no little box off to the side.
Okay.
Even after I put all my colors together.
Really?
Mhm.
Okay. So if you click on the number 5 and you click cancel, and you hit delete, it should delete your outline. Yours won't do that?
It didn't. Maybe I didn't select my. What I probably didn't do was select my whole thing, like the bunny. I probably didn't select them. I just went into sew order. Okay. Yeah. See, there is nothing. No. All right. Click on something and see if it cancels it out. Okay.
Click cancel. And then delete.
Where do you delete?
On your keyboard.
Okay. That's what I was doing wrong.
Okay, yes, you click delete on your keyboard.
And I wasn't clicking delete.
Yeah. If you go to your sewing order, highlight what you're interested in, click cancel, and then delete on your keyboard.
Cancel and delete. Okay. All righty.
Okay.
That was the only thing that I really had a problem with, was trying to delete colors off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, our next class we're going to get a little bit more in depth with our manual stitch, and then we're actually going to learn how to create some fun things using a manual punch.
Okay. That's what I use for the shading, right? Is that you just
yes, and
yes.
Yeah, and our shading is going to be one of our advanced classes. So you're ahead.
Yeah. I know we talked about it, and that's the first time I talked to you, and you showed us a little bit about it, but not that much. So I'm still trying to figure out. Now, if you, all right, remember I told you that I go over my outline when I'm doing my shading. If I do that, can I delete that outline and just do another whole outline after the shading is done?
Actually, you can. Yes.
Okay. Instead of trying to move the whole thing all over.
Right. But hold on, let's end our class. If there are no more questions about this class, and I'll take your questions, okay?